Shalom. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, from whom I learned this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 elect. I am Ayakala. And I just wanted to do a quick lesson on something that I was thinking about. I think I'm going to call this Bridle Thy Tongue. And let's look up what that word bridle means. And I'm going to look according to Google. Okay, and this is according to Google. It says in the Bible, a bridle, which is a headgear used to control a horse, symbolizes control, restraint, and guidance, both literally and figuratively. It is often used as a metaphor for self-control, particularly in managing one's tongue, as seen in James 1:26. It says, the bridle also represents the idea of submitting to a higher authority, whether human or divine. It says figurative language. It says the Bible uses the bridle as a powerful metaphor for self-control, especially in speech. All right, so that's the sense in which I'm using that word bridle. I know bridle also could mean what you put into a horse or another animal's mouth in order to push them in a certain direction or guide them in a certain direction, or have control over them. But that's exactly what it is when you're bridling your tongue. It's showing that you're being conscious of exerting a certain amount of control, self-control over for one's own mouth. And the reason that I kind of was thinking about this, because I was kind of looking at somebody at work, and I can remember a few years ago, this particular individual, I guess he was trying to feel me out and get to know me, and he appeared to be Esau. After he opened up his mouth, and I've had several interactions with him, I know for sure that he's Esau, because he's the type of person that wants to antagonize, and he kind of gets off on arguing. And it just involved a particular incident where I was in his area, in his work area, and something kind of fell over, and I happened to be right there to grab it. So he kind of turned around and kind of snapped at me. So my natural instinct was to turn right back and snap right back at him. But after getting to know this individual and having several interactions with him, like I said, because I'm familiar with this individual now, I'm sure he's Esau, because he kind of gets off on that. I see him when he does it to other people. It's kind of satisfying to him to antagonize and to cause problems, and it's just the way he is. So now I kind of understand how to interact with him. So he while he don't raise his voice at me anymore, because he know I don't got a problem with raising my voice right back with him, he kind of tries to make little snide remarks. And so if that's how he wants to communicate, I kind of give it right back to him. I take every opportunity I can to give a snide remark right back to him, and I can just see the pleasure on his face. He thrives on it. But anyway, I wanted to talk about that and bring that out just because I wanted to say that you can't always just get emotional, because when you do get emotional, you're subject to let anything just fly out of your mouth. And it could have been a thing where this could have been an individual who I was waiting to see what kind of reaction I would get, and then when I snapped back at him, he might run and tell a supervisor. But in this instance, that wasn't the case. He kind of thrives on it. He likes it. So what I was just trying to point that I was trying to make is that you just don't want to be emotional. You always want to take your time to think before you just respond and letting anything fly out of your mouth, because that could lead you to, depending on what individuals you're dealing with, that could lead to something that could go further escalate into something physical. Or it could either lead to you, if you're in the workplace, it could lead to you being terminated or something. So, but I just have a few verses that I wanted to bring out, and this probably won't be very long. The first one that I wanted to bring out is Psalms 34 and 13. And I'm looking in the Blue Letter Bible, so I'm going to get a definition if I have to on any certain words. But I'm going to go to Psalms chapter 34. And verse 13. And it says, "Keep thy tongue from evil and thy lips from speaking guile." So that's exactly what I wanted to bring out. I wanted to bring out about you having restraint and having control over what comes out of your mouth, because you can find yourself acting out of your character, or doing something that's out of your character, just because you're reacting in an emotional state. And I wanted to take a look at that word guile, see what that word means. All right, and it is in the Hebrew, it is H4820. And I'll get a pronunciation for you for the word.
Strong's H4820. Mirma. Mirma.
Mirma. And it says deceit or treachery. It says in the sense of deceiving, fraud, craft, or deceit. It kind of reminds me also of the serpent in the garden when he spoke with Eve. He spoke with guile. He was very, very deceptive. And I want to look at the root of the word also. See if I can get a little bit more out of it. It is H7411. And this is the root of the word merma.
Strong's H7411. Rama. Rama.
Rama. And it says to beguile, to deceive, mislead, or deal treacherously. To beguile, deceive, mislead, or trick. It says to deal treacherously with, or to betray. So in that instance I was speaking about earlier, when I was at the plantation, this individual wanted to see what kind of emotion he can get out of me. And while I was careful not to call him any names or get into that type of exchange with him, he just wanted to see what kind of rise he could bring out of me, or what he can cause me to say to him. All right, and I just have another one I want to go into. I'm going to go to Proverbs 13 and verse 3. It says, "He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction." In the NLT it reads, "Those who control their tongue will have a long life. Opening your mouth can ruin everything." And a prime example of this is if you've ever seen videos or on let's say YouTube, and you see people being pulled over, and particularly Eve, because see, that's what she kind of likes. When I say Eve, I'm referring to the so-called black woman, or kind of referring to any of the women of the tribes, but the so-called black black women in particular. They that's kind of like what they like to do. They like to run their mouth. That's kind of like their weapon. You know, they try to provoke you also. And what you see them do a lot of times, they're in a simple situation where it might just be a simple traffic violation. The police pull them over, and because they want to run the show, they want to run their mouth and try to bait the police into doing something that they shouldn't do. They end up putting themselves in a certain predicament just because they wanted to run their mouth, and they escalate the whole situation, whereas it could have been just a simple traffic stop. They end up being put in handcuffs and being taken to jail. So just you having control over your tongue could prevent you from escalating a certain situation, especially with these police, because you know they're quick when they see when they see an Israelite and they get the opportunity to exert their authority. They're going to take any instance they can to take it to the highest level. If you say the slightest thing to them that they don't like, that they could yell out you're resisting arrest and try to escalate the situation. So the best thing for you to do is just bridle your tongue. You give the officer your credentials, such as your driver's license, your registration. You can ask politely what it is that you did or why he pulled you over for, and he may even dismiss it, let you go with a warning, instead of being quick to fly off the handle when you think that you're in the right, because they're just waiting for a situation where you are not in the right, where you're wrong, so that they can put those cuffs on you and lock you up. And like I said, they want to have that opportunity to exert their authority. The next one I want to bring out is Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 23. And I just have a couple more after this. It says, "Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles." And just like I was saying, just for you being in a position where you're stopping to think, and you're exerting that, you're showing that control, you're bridling your tongue, it can prevent you from getting yourself into a situation that you don't want to be in, where somebody does something to you, or you end up doing something to somebody else that you didn't even intend on getting yourself involved in. Sometimes, or a lot of times, you have to leave it at a comment, make a comment and leave it at that, or ignore the situation altogether. But it takes that certain amount of control, not feeling like you always have to have the last word, or you always have to be heard. And there may be instances where you are even in the right. Sometimes it's best to go ahead and just take the low in that situation and just let it go. Especially when instances when you're dealing with your brother, you never want to fly off the handle dealing with your brother. You never want to fly off the handle getting emotional with your brother, where you end up calling names or saying something that you didn't mean. I'm going to go to James chapter 1 and verse 26. And this was the verse that was used as an example in the definition, Google's definition of bridle. It says, this is James chapter 1 verse 26. "If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart," which is the heart is the mind, "that this man's religion is vain." So first of all, in that verse, I want to bring out the word, look at the word religious, first of all. And I don't want to go off of the subject of what I'm talking about, but we know this is, being a Hebrew Israelite, this is our culture. This is not a religion, but we do worship Yahweh, the Most High, and His Son, Yahweh Shai. So let's just see what this word religious is being used in this instance. And this is in the Greek. It is G2357, and I'll give you a pronunciation.
Strong's G2357. Threiskas. Threiskas.
In this instance, it means fearing or worshiping the Most High, to tremble, trembling, fearful. It says, Strong's definition says ceremonious in worship, pious. So we're not calling ourselves being involved in some religion, for this is our culture. But we do, like I said, we do worship the Most High Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. So that's what they mean when they're using this word religious. Another word I wanted to bring out, because I told you that the heart means the mind. And this is in the Greek, so it is G2588. And I'll give you a pronunciation.
Strong's G2588. Cardia. Cardia.
All right, and the definition says the vigor and sense of physical life. It says the soul or mind, as it is the fountain and the seat of the thoughts, passions, desire, appetites, affections, purposes, and endeavors. So we're not talking about your heart that pumps blood. That's what your heart is designed to do. It's the organ that pumps blood. When it's being used in the scriptures, referring to the mind. So I just wanted to bring that out since we had that word there, and I was able to prove what I was saying about the heart being the mind. But I also want to read it in the NLT. This is James 1:26 in the NLT. It says, if you claim to be religious but don't control your tongue, you are fooling yourself and your religion is worthless. All right. And in that same book, I just have a few more verses that I wanted to bring out. And this is James chapter 3. And I'm going to read all of these verses. I think I'm going to read the first 5 verses, and I'm going to read them all in the NLT because they speak pretty plainly. I have to move my phone out of the sun. It's getting kind of hot. It says, all right, this is James chapter 3. Verse 1, it says, dear brothers and sisters, not many of you should become teachers in the church, for we who teach will be judged more strictly. Indeed, we all make many mistakes, for if we could control our tongues, we would be perfect and could also control ourselves in every other way. It says we can make a large horse go wherever we want by means of a small bit in his mouth, and a small rudder makes a huge ship turn wherever the pilot chooses to go, even though the winds are strong. In the same way, the tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. All right, and I'm gonna just leave it there for that, let you meditate on that, because like I said, even though the tongue is a small instrument in the mouth, it can cause a great fire. And I pray that this has been edifying to the listener. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah HaKadosh. Shalom.